feel like suits have sort of been removed from the equation and replaced by separates.
Okay, so you're saying the suit is dead? So Austin, I see you're wearing a jacket and trousers today. Is this how you wear most of the time if you're dressing formally over shirt and tie? Are you more likely to wear a separate jacket and trouser or a suit?
Well, I mean, to be honest, these days, most of the time I am wearing separates. I almost think that these days, I find myself wearing black tie more than suits, as a matter of fact. And I feel like
in evening tuxedo,
evening wear. And
okay.
I feel like suits have sort of been removed from the equation and replaced by separates.
Okay, so you're saying the suit is dead?
I'm not saying it's dead. I still think that
It's dying?
it's such a hard thing because, you know, it comes
Under
and
the weather,
goes.
poorly?
Yeah, maybe it's, you know, under the weather, kind of, poorly, like the weather we've been having here in London this summer. But we're just walking around, I mean, you rarely see a guy dressed in a full suit these days. I think just much more common are men dressed as we are in separates with a sport coat, odd trousers, a shirt, sometimes a tie. It just seems to have replaced the occasion for a suit.
Sure, I mean, I don't see people wearing suits well. I think when I do see people wearing suits in London, they're usually wearing them open-necked, which I think we'll come on to, which is, I think, a very difficult look to carry off. It can look amazing, but it can also look unfinished and contrived, whereas I think a jacket lends itself better to wearing with an open-neck shirt.
Entirely, and a lot of guys I know, you know, they've, again, I guess maybe like the suit, they sort of save the tie for a special occasion. It is an essential item to have in your wardrobe these days.
The tie.
The tie, because, you know, you still don't know when you might need one, and there are occasions, even in the office, where, you know, a full suit and a tie, or even a sport coat and a tie is called for. But, you know, I think if you're wearing separates, the much more natural way to do it is actually a sans tie.
No, sure, but I also think in most occasions nowadays, is that I think the key to being formal and dressed up is actually shirt and tie with a tailored jacket. The fact your jacket and trouser are in the same cloth is now secondary. So I would say that if you were expected to be dressed up for a meeting, most meetings I go to, in fact any meeting I go to in my life, a blazer with a shirt and tie is smart enough. It's usually overdressed. And I'd wear a suit as a matter of style, a matter of choice, not because I felt it was smarter. The occasions where I'd feel a fixed suit would be more appropriate, would be more formal occasions, such as perhaps an informal wedding, which wasn't morning dress or black tie, obviously a funeral, but even at those occasions now, an appropriate jacket usually works as well.
Yeah, and I mean, just speaking, you know, about my wardrobe personally, it's really become a lot more separates, a lot more odd trousers, a lot more sport coats or sport jackets, depending on terminology that you use. And, you know, I do wear suits for the occasions that you just mentioned, but the other time I find myself wearing suits is when I just want to change things up and be a little bit more, you know, dapper or just sort of, I don't know, harken back to, you know, a different era by putting on a suit. It just makes me feel, you know, a certain way, a little bit different, because these days I am spending so much of my time in a sport coat and odd trousers that it's sort of become habit. It now feels a little bit normal. So I will put on a suit if I want to just have this sort of different air about me, if that makes sense, you know, when I'm about town.
Yeah, cool. I mean, I think as well, the advantage I think of the separate jacket is, of course, you can wear different types of trousers, so there's a versatility to it.
Exactly.
I know if I'm travelling and I need to have a formal or a smarter, I won't use the word formal, a smarter outfit with me, I'm much more likely to take a blazer than a suit, unless I'm travelling for a few days and I'm taking more luggage. I think a jacket has a versatility to it.
So you just mentioned lounge suit. In the States, we don't really have that distinction. We don't use that terminology. A suit is a suit is a suit.
I use it more nowadays to distinguish between separates, because what I'm finding now, if I say a suit, people expect it to be a set of clothes with a tailored jacket, tailored trousers and a shirt and tie, a degree of formality rather than a technical suit. So for me, a lounge suit is either a jacket and trouser or jacket, waistcoat and trouser in exactly the same cloth.
Okay.
Not coordinating, not well matched in the sense that the patterns mix well together. It has to be in the same cloth. So a lounge suit would be that. It's a late 19th century British expression, and as the name implies, it's the casual nature of the history of the suit. Although we're talking about the suit now as formal, in the 19th century it was an informal garment to be worn at the countryside or resorts. It wasn't town wear.
That's what has, I think, always tripped me up with my understanding what a lounge suit is, because when I think of suit, I think of something formal for the office, for business occasions. Lounge suit, when I think of a lounge, I think of just sort of reclining in plush leather sofas or chairs, or just something a lot more casual. So a lounge suit always sort of tripped me up in my understanding of it.
It's quite anachronistic in that sense.
Yeah.
Would you call it a sports jacket?
So I would call this a sport jacket, a sport coat, sports coat. I mean, this is one of those things, I think it depends on who you're talking to, what era they're from, maybe what level of tailoring knowledge they have. I mean, me personally, I just sort of use them all interchangeably. Sure. What I wouldn't call this though is a blazer, and maybe we can talk about that later.
No, I'd call it a sports jacket.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a sports coat, but if someone said sports coat, I know exactly what they mean. Working on Savile Row, we have a lot of customers from the US, and they talk about sports coat. I like the expression sports coat because on Savile Row, tailors call a jacket a coat anyway. We don't have jacket makers, you have coat makers. So again, like a lot of American expressions, they're actually, if you actually look at their etymology, they're actually the older English expression for them.
And exactly to that point, the term sport coat makes me think of my grandfather. Actually, I feel like that's what he would call this. So Chris, could you just walk us through how you styled this look here?
I mean, this is a sports jacket, dressed up quite formally. So you've got a smart cutaway collared shirt, a printed silk tie and a pocket square. So this is how you could dress it up. And I think for most occasions this would work as with some perhaps some charcoal trousers. This would be as smart and as elegant as a suit, except in a few occasions this would work as a suit. But the advantage, I think, of what you were saying about versatility is that you can change the trousers. You could change them for cotton trousers. You could change the shirt, take the tie off. I think an open neck shirt with a sports jacket is an easier look to pull off than the open neck shirt with a suit. Well, it can be done, but I think it's harder than people realise. But of course, you could then link in some knitwear. Now, again, you can also put knitwear with suits, but again, it's harder to pull off. I think the advantage about the sports jacket is the practicality of being able to mix and match the trouser. You could put black trousers with it if that was your style. You could put charcoal, you could put lighter greys, you could maybe put some sort of stone-coloured chinos. So I think once you start changing the trouser with the same jacket, you can introduce more different types of shoes. You can put some suede into it, and then you can just mix around the formality, which although you can do with a suit, I think it's a lot easier and a lot more practical to do with sports jackets.
Yeah, I would completely agree with you. I mean, for me, this is, I think, as formal as you can get really in separates. In fact, I was advising my brother, he has a business meeting, and I put him in something very similar to this with a pair of charcoal trousers, a black Oxford, cap-toe shoe, and that I think is a new business suit, let's say. It's, for a business meeting, I think that's, if you're meeting with a client, I think this is as formal as people would sort of expect you to go these days.
I think unless you're dealing with a very traditional business, I think
if you're a banker or a lawyer or you're in a boardroom
and
or
also,
something, there are occasions where suits.
Not saying in a boardroom or whether you're a banker, is at what city you're in. I think there's a different cultures around the world. I think in the square mile in the city of London, there are still some institutions where a lounge suit, a tie and black shoes are still required. But a visit to the London shows that's few and far between these days. If you want to have a small wardrobe for whatever reason, some people know it's just easier to manage less clothes. Having a wardrobe based on a sports jacket gives you many more outfits, because you can have 2 or 3 sports jackets, 3 or 4 pairs of old trousers that all work with each other, a little capsule wardrobe. You've got far more combinations than necessarily fixed suits that don't always work as separates.
And for me, I mean, it's a little bit adjacent to this, but it's sort of injected the fun back into getting dressed for me, because a suit it's very prescriptive, right? It's just, this is what it is, and you can maybe change your shirt and your tie and your pocket square. But I open up my wardrobe now, which is basically separates, and I have a lot of fun mixing and matching and seeing what works, what doesn't work, maybe what's a little bit more daring, but still, I'm comfortable wearing out. And it's really made for me dressing a lot more fun and interesting these days.
Do you ever break your suits up?
Yes, it depends again on the fabric and the sort of the formality of the suit. If I have a much more sort of natural shoulder, jacket. I will occasionally wear that, with odd trousers, but there are considerations there. You don't want to outwear one,
That's always a problem. I love
Yeah.
breaking up suits.
Yeah.
Certain, you touched upon, certain fabrics lend themselves better, and it can be more difficult to pull off well.
Because people can sometimes tell us is obviously, part of a suit. Maybe master, wearing separates, and then, once you're comfortable and let's say you've exhausted that part of your wardrobe, then look to your suits and do exactly as you said. And again, have some fun, and there are some key considerations. But yeah, your wardrobe sort of just exponentially grows once you start breaking things up.
Another thing I really like about wearing separates is if you happen to work in an office which is quite casual, informal, but you want to feel like you want to dress up a bit, sometimes wearing a suit can be too much of a statement. You'll get comments from people, have you got a job interview, usual sort of quips. Whereas a sports jacket worn with a less formal shirt, perhaps chinos, is an easier way of dressing yourself up, but not making too much of a statement.
Yeah, and what that makes me think of is not outdressing your boss, right? So, in our world,
Depends on the boss.
well, sure. If you're watching this video, and for guys that we know in our world, we all like to dress a certain way. And I think you do these days run the risk of outdressing your boss, and that is still a bit taboo. And that especially will happen, I think, if you wear a suit to the office these days, right? So wearing separates where you can dress it up with the tie, you can dress it down a little bit by taking off the tie and undoing a button, and you can dress it down further by just losing the jacket altogether. So wearing separates is a way to still achieve a tailored look, a tailored outfit, and being able to, pull back, let's say, in terms of style, if you need to, if you feel you need to.
You can be well dressed without being too formal.
Exactly. The subject of separates can be tricky business, no? Yeah. So if you guys have any questions about what you've watched today, please leave them in the comments section below. Either Chris or myself will be sure to get back to you.
I do. I read all the comments, and if it's a sensible question, I will answer it. If it's a less sensible question, I'll still answer it.